Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So, as explained, Thursday's analysis will be released to free members. So, if you're a Premium and Pro member, you've seen the written analysis for this yesterday. You can see the recorded analysis on the Wednesday, and free members will be able to see it on Thursday. So, if you're a free member, you've only just got access to it on Thursday. Obviously, some of this may have changed. Some of the horses may, the prices may have changed, etc. So, yeah, that's what happens. One thing I would say, do get involved in the NAP competition. There are prizes to be won every day this week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There are prizes to be won, including cash prizes every day. All you've got to do is select horses running at Cheltenham. If you're the top scorer for the day, you will win ratings and cash. For free entry, you might as well get involved. So let's dive in. Let's look at the 120, the Mares Novice Hurdle. I like Bambino Fever here. I know it's obvious, it's boring. I don't see her getting beat, to be honest. The only time she has been beaten in her career was when she got beat by Old School Outlaw. Now, at the time, Willie Mullins' horses actually were needing the run. You look at the likes of Cargess and Jade de Grugy, other mares. They all needed the first time up run, and then massively stepped forward next time out, and have held their form really well since. They were clearly looking after them, or hadn't come quite to form straight away earlier on in the season, and that for me is why Bambino Fever got beat. And yet she only got beat by half a length. She got beat by Old School Outlaw, who is the supposed danger in the race. Fully expected to reverse that form. Fully expected to actually be fully fit to run here, and with that in mind, I don't see Old School Outlaw beating her, and I don't think any of the others are anywhere near good enough. It's a very unoriginal selection at this point, but yeah, I think she'll win this, and I think she'll win it quite comfortably, to be honest. I think this is one of those mares that actually she'll be running in the Mares Hurdle next season, whereas some of the others will be running in handicaps. And maybe not even coming back to the festival. They're not that good. So yeah, I think Bambino Fever wins this. She's not the biggest of prices, 11 to 10, but if it's one that you want to put in some multiples, that could be a decent way of playing Bambino Fever. We move on to the 2 o'clock, which is the Jack Richards Novice Handicap Chase over 2.5 miles, and there are 3 or 4, I guess, or maybe even more than that I've mentioned in this race for other races or for this race in the past. We'll actually select them all now. They have been this season: Jordan's Cross, Cadeau St. Frey, Regent Stroll, 6 Mile Bridge, Stencil, The Bluesman, and Western Knight. I'm Wingman. Look at that! Wow. Okay, let's go through them. Let's start with the 2 that I like. They are Regent Stroll and 6 Mile Bridge. Start off with Regent Stroll. Same connections as won this race last year. This looks like they've tried to plot this race coming back here to win it. His last amount effort was a decent effort in hindsight when he was second behind Miami Magic. Miami Magic has come out and won again, really impressively at Newbury. Albeit he disappointed in the Grade 1 at Sandown, but we'll come back to that. The 3rd placed horse that day was Calafé en Vol. Calafé en Vol has come out and won a handicap for us. We tipped him up at Kempton, and he was a good winner there. And I still think there's lots more to come from Calafé en Vol. I think Regent Stroll that day both wasn't there to give everything, and also the winner got the run of the race, Miami Magic. I'm sure they were delighted when he dropped a pound down to 145 off the back of that run. He was trying to give away weight to a previous graded winner in Miami Magic. And that horse ended up, next time out running in a Grade 1. I don't feel it was a terrible result from Regent Stroll. I think they were plotting this handicap from a long way out, to be honest. I really like him. I think he's got a really good chance, and his second last season in the 2.5 mile novice hurdle at Aintree, the Grade 1, would suggest that he's actually a graded horse. Is he one of those graded horses running in a handicap? I think he could be. The second horse that I like in this race is probably a little bit underappreciated and under respected, to be honest. That is 6 Mile Bridge, who you can see is actually on the drift. Regent Stroll is, being shortened. He's clear favourite. 6 Mile Bridge is on the drift, and yet 6 Mile Bridge has done nothing wrong this season. All 3 wins over fences have been good, including beating Calafay Vol significantly easier than Regent Stroll did. Beat the horse by 13 lengths, giving away £5, comfortably on the bridle. What was the difference between that and Regent Stroll's effort? Not a lot, to be honest. In actual fact, 6 Mile Bridge probably ran better, didn't he? And then even if we go through that race at Sandown, he was a comfortable winner, beating Miami Magic back in third. Miami Magic had previously beaten Regent Stroll. There's not a lot between them at all. 6 Mile Bridge looks like he's got it spot on in terms of what he wanted. He ran in the Turners last year, went off 16-1 for the Grade 1, runs in a handicap. I think he's a graded horse running in a handicap. And that's why 6 Mile Bridge certainly catches my eye here, and we are on those two, 6 Mile Bridge and Regent Stroll. The dangers, let's go through some of them. Jordan's Cross, we've highlighted a couple of times this season, had some good wins with him. That defeat of Quebecois last time out over 2.5 was clearly a good effort. Quebecois ran really well in the Old Teamer, probably didn't quite stay that 3 mile trip yesterday. Very good effort in a pretty good race. Back in 5th that day as well was Calafay Vol. There's lots of form lines with this Calafay Vol. So, he's improving clearly. He's massively progressive. The issue with him is he has gone up in the weights. He's been winning the races. He's actually gone up from a mark at the beginning of the season of 120. He runs here off 140. He's going to find his limit at some point. That's the issue with Jordan's Cross. We then have Cadeau Saint Frey, who finished 4th in that race behind Jordan's Cross 2 runs ago, and has since come out and finished 3rd in a good handicap at Kempton. It was clearly a very good run. He does keep getting beat in handicaps. Why can he go and suddenly win this handicap now? A better handicap off his new mark of 132. That would be my only concern about Cadeau Saint Frey. We've also talked up Stencil this season. Stencil is a horse that's clearly been handicapped for something. The step up and trip obviously is potentially going to bring out more. He was a very good second last season in a Grade 2 and went off favourite last year for the Fred Winter. Those horses that go off favourite for a race and come back the following year over a slightly different trip, having disappointed, could be very interesting. We've actually got a few this season in the likes of Kopek Demi. We've got this horse here, Stencil, and we've also got Be Aware. All doing similar thing, going off a short price favourite for a race, coming back the following season over a different trip, and still being well supported. I do understand why Stencil is interesting here. They clearly looked after him the first couple of runs. He did get his head in front last time out quite comfortably in a race at Chepstow. That Cheltenham form would concern me in that he was so disappointing that day, and he'd also previously been beaten by 10 lengths at Cheltenham. I'm just hoping that they're kind of trying him here as a it might work, we're not sure it's going to work, rather than a this is definitely going to bring out more. The Bluesman, for Ollie Murphy, he actually won a race for us a couple of weeks ago at Haydock, was a good winner for us there. This is significantly better class of race. He doesn't come from the top class handicaps. He's just progressive in his own grade. He may find that there's some better horses in against him this time, and that could catch him out. Western Knight. We like Western Knight. We thought 3 Mile would have been better for him. We thought the old teamer. But drops back to 2.5. He's definitely interesting. He does have that bit of graded form. Went off 25 to 1 last year in a grade 1. Did they step him up to 3 Mile in the hope that he was a 3 miler and he was going to be running in the Brown Advisory, or did they step him up to get him another run and look after his handicap mark? I'm not so sure. I think the 3 Mile would have been better for him. That's the reason why I'm happy to take him on. And finally, Wingman is a really nice horse. I really like this horse. I thought his effort last season when winning at Punchestown was a good run. His second to Country Mile at Cheltenham was a very good run. And his third at Nace in a grade 1 behind the Yellow Clay and Super Sunday, that looked a really good run. He's finally dropping into what is probably his grade, having been running in beginner chases this season where he just keeps finishing second or third. But the winners are all in the graded races. He's not. He's running in the handicap. He's a really horrible one. You've got to remember he went off 6s last year for the Albert Bartlett. He's probably the one I'm most worried about outside of R2. That's Wingman. He's the one I think I'm most worried about. Has he been plotted for this race? Possibly. But R2 in the race, as I said, we like Regent Stroll and 6 Mile Bridge. Moving on to the 240, the Mares Hurdle. Who wins this? J Degrees, you finishes second. Take No Chances finishes third. I've got no interest in this race. Who's too short. If you did want Who, you could potentially put Who and Bambino Fever in a double, I guess. But it's quite it's a boring race, and to be honest, this Mares Hurdle needs to go. Get those mares that are good enough in that Champion Hurdle. We've seen winners of it. Honeysuckle, Lossymouth. Mares do win the Champion Hurdle, so yeah, I think they should be running in the Champion Hurdle, and this race should be scrapped. 320. We'll talk a little bit more about the 320. It is a race that we do have a selection in. Tearpoo. I think Jack Kennedy's going to be... he's going to ride it slightly differently this time. He's not going to allow Bob Olinger to sit right behind him. Well, I hope he's not. I say that. Jack Kennedy did exactly that yesterday on Brighter Days Ahead. Went forward and allowed Lossymouth to just sit directly behind him. That shouldn't have been the plan at all. Why give her a lovely tow through the race? You see it in every single sport. Athletics, Formula 1, any racing event basically, you draft in behind. You sit behind because it allows you to use less energy. You draft, it's a lot easier to sit in behind and then kick on past, and that's exactly what Paul Townend did yesterday on Lossymouth. So I'm hoping Jack Kennedy's learned from that and he doesn't do the same here. He doesn't go forward and set it up for Bob Olinger, who's likely to be not that far behind, turning into the straight and probably trying to draft his way in. I'm hoping something else goes forward here, makes the running, and allows Tearpoo to get a clear run at this. Turning into the straight, that's when he can kick on. But yeah, I think he's the best horse in this race by a long way, to be honest. Just needs to get the tactics right. We'll move on to the 4 o'clock, the Ryanair Chase. This is another one that's pretty boring. Again, you could potentially put these in a treble. Factorfire will win this race. He could have been running in the Gold Cup. He doesn't come here off the back of a disappointing effort. He comes here off the back of winning essentially the Irish Gold Cup at the Dublin Racing Festival. I think he'll travel all over these and win this quite comfortably. Quite a boring one, to be honest. 440. That does give us a little bit more time to talk about other races, including the 440, which is the Pertemps Final, where we have 2 in this race. They are Bold Endeavour and Supremely West. So, Bold Endeavour we'll start with Supremely West actually. We highlighted this horse after he finished third in the qualifier and said, really, really good effort, keep an eye on him. I think it was 2 weeks later or a week later, we backed Marchand 2 in the Betfair Stayers Exchange Handicap Hurdle at Haydock, where he disappointed. He went off the 4-1 favourite and finished 12th. Incredibly, he's won his next 2 races in a handicap and a grade 2 and is now rated 154. Got beat for us off 138 and is now rated 154. Thanks very much. We liked that form. We said that form was really strong. And whilst the winner, Marchand 2, let us down at Haydock, the runner-up, Electric Mason, went and won that race at Haydock. Just franking that form. Demonstrating how good that bit of form was. So Electric Mason won it and is now up £7 for that. The third horse, Supremely West, was a staying on third for Dan Skelton. Looked like, as soon as they come back for the festival, they've got a really good chance. That was his first run for Dan Skelton as well. They got him qualified for the Pertemps Final. And then they messed about with him. They tried him over 3 mile at Cheltenham at Sandown, but I feel he was never in those races to win. They looked at it, they went, look how strong that form is. We can win that Pertemps Final. And then they dropped him back in trip at Aintree. They got him covered up. They got him dropped in the handicap. Crazy. He's actually £2 lower than when he finished that very good third at Cheltenham in the qualifier. I think that's crazy. £2 lower. And the Skeltons will go, yeah, we turned the corner. We gave him time off this time, and that's what sorted him out. They did it with Madara. I like the Skeltons. I have no issue with what they do with their horses. I like trainers that know what they're doing in terms of getting them well handicapped, putting them in the right races, winning races with them, rather than trainers that go and win a couple of handicaps worth £5, end up in this race here, and can't win because suddenly they're £15 higher than what they should have been. So that's Supremely West. I think he's got a massive chance here. I'm hoping the biggest danger is Bold Endeavour, who is significantly shorter priced than when we put him up. I think we put him up at 25s. He's now 12s. Why is he 12s? He ran in this race in 2024 for a mark of 143 and he finished 4th, 3 3/4 lengths behind the winner. This year, he runs off a £13 lower mark. £13 lower. And he actually ran pretty nicely on his return. Now back at Nicky Henderson again. Finishing third when surely qualification was all they were interested in. He's had 1 run again for Nicky Henderson after disappointing efforts for Laura Morgan. He could be incredibly well handicapped. Got some really nice form here. He's finished 5th in a Coral Cup as well. He's finished 2nd behind White Rhino in a good handicap off 142. His 5th in the Coral Cup came off 140. So he's finished 5th off 140 at the Cheltenham Festival. He's finished 4th off 143. What does he do off just 130? He, for me, is the biggest danger to Supremely West. And I'm hoping for a huge run from both of those. In terms of everything else, or anything else in the race, have we tipped up many of these elsewhere? Manila Emperor, we said we were on that last time when we wanted it to qualify for this race. It did, but we were hoping it would win. It let us down that day. Electric Mason comes from that good race, but we're not that interested. And we think Harry Skelton surely knows which one of the 2 out of him and Ace of Spades. So yeah, I'm quite happy with the 2 we've got here, and I don't think there's any in this race that will be, come back to bite us on the bum. And finally, the last race on the card on Thursday is the Muir. Unfortunately, this is a bit of a frustrating one. There's multiple horses in this race that we have tipped up for this race and other races at Cheltenham. And horses that we're like, oh, he's really well handicapped. Let's go through them. They are Heracles Westwood, Sharif Deles, They are the 5 there. Heracles Westwood, Jarif Delest, Jericho de Repene, Kim Rock, and Waterford Whispers. If you've been following our analysis, you will know that they are the 5. Check out this. They're the front 5 in the betting. How annoying is that? And yet they've not always been that obvious. They've not always been at the head of the market either. And yet we've been talking these horses up. So, who are the 2 that we're on? We're on Jericho de Repenay and Heracles Westwood. Heracles Westwood is a horse that we said was really well handicapped at the beginning of the season, off marks of 126. And we were right, he's now running off 137. And yet we still think he can run a nice race. His effort last time out when winning off 135 was a very good effort, having kind of wasted an opportunity by finishing 4th in a handicap when way out of the handicap. That frustrated me because he went up significantly in the weights for actually finishing 4th and winning just £5,330. They could have found a handicap and won a handicap with him before that. Anyway, so he went up £2 for his win at Cheltenham. We liked him that day. A £2 rise, we don't think that's going to stop him from running another big race. We don't like Sharif Durest, or we do, but we don't think he's going to get in. He's the next reserve. We think Emmett Mullins is going to just miss out here. We'd also question that horse's will to win. He's had 2 good chances in those cross-country chases, and he just looks like he gets himself bored halfway through the race. He drops away, he then runs on again, and then drops away, and then runs on. Yeah, he just switches off in the race, and I think that could catch him out here at Cheltenham in the Muir. Jericho de Repenay we do like. Off 145, we think he's very, very well handicapped. He has not been trying this season yet. Not been trying, but go back to his form at the end of last season, very good. Finished 3rd in a qualifier, a Pertemps qualifier, which he needed to do well in. He needed to finish in the first 4 to qualify for the race. He then finished 2nd in the Pertemps Final itself, in a race that's worked out really well. The winner, Dodgy the Great, was winning that off a mark of 131. Dodgy the Great is now rated over hurdles 148, so he's £17 higher. So although you'll say, oh, Jericho de Repenay got beat off 135 and he's now rated 145, he did, but the horse who beat him is significantly higher rated as well. So I wouldn't be, just saying he can't win because he's running off a higher mark. Jericho de Repenay then went to Punchestown and won the feature handicap at Punchestown over 3 mile, beating Dodgy the Great, just showing that form was really, really strong. In actual fact, One Big Bang, who finished 3rd, had previously finished 5th in the Pertemps Final, whilst Carl de Terrell, who finished 4th for Philip Fenton, had finished 7th in the Pertemps Final. That Pertemps Final was a really, really good effort. This season, Jericho de Repenay has done nothing, but he's been very, very carefully looked after. Similar story to like Johnny Who, Saratoga, the Wall Park. They've all been looked after with big races in mind. This, hopefully, is Jericho de Repenay's big race. We're taking on Kinrock and Waterford Whispers for the same reason. They're both stepping up in trip. Do they want that step up in trip? I don't know. I wouldn't be saying no, but I would say I don't know. So that's the concern about those 2. I'm not totally sure the step up in trip is going to work. Whereas I do know Heracles Westwood wants this trip, and I do know Jericho de Repenay wants this trip. So we can't back them all, but that's the reason that we are leaving ourselves with Jericho de Repenay and Heracles Westwood. We're on bigger prices on both of them. We've been talking about these for a little while, and hopefully they can both go really well here. So that's the selections for tomorrow. Let's go through and do my next best and third best. Starting off, Bambino Fever I think will win, but it's a short price. We've got 2 in this race, which isn't ideal. So we won't do anything there. We think Wad Who wins, but she's a very short price. Tia Poo. Tia Poo is going to be my nap of the day. being given a different ride. We've been talking up Supremely West for a long time, so he's going to be my next best. And Jericho de Repenate is going to be my third best. So they will be my 3 for the nap competition. Tia Poo is my nap, Supremely West is my next best, and Jericho de Repenate is my third best. Hope you have another great day today, Wednesday and Thursday. And we will be back for Premium and Pro members. We'll get a Friday video. Free members, you won't get that video.